The following audio is from Chapter 1 of a short story called Miranda that is featured on BoxOfficeBoredom.com. New chapters will be released every Saturday on www.BoxOfficeBoredom.com, and the corresponding audiobook version, like the one you are currently listening to right here, debuts every Sunday. Two days earlier. Lauren Denevue had never met Orson Escott in person until today. They had communicated via email for the last few weeks until they planned to meet. At first it had seemed so easy, but now as she sat at the small cafe waiting for him to appear, it made her worry all the more. What if everyone found out about them? What if someone was already on to them? Her mind was racing, but on the outside she looked cool, calm, and collect. She was wearing the red dress and the blue jean jacket that she told Orson she'd wear so he could spot her upon his arrival. She was sure to keep her oversized sunglasses on, thinking it would help her make her more nondescript to the other cafe guests. The waitress had brought her a glass of sweet tea, and she sat outside in the street-side seating sipping it. She was pretending to be reading a copy of the latest Dan Brown novel. She was far too nervous to read it, but Orson suggested it, so she blended in even more. Orson Escott spotted Lauren immediately. He approached her from behind, looking over his shoulder a few times and surveying the area. He felt certain that he was not followed, but you can never be too careful in his business. He leaned over and touched Lauren on the shoulder as he approached the table. Lauren jumped, nearly spilling her tea all over her red sundress. "Miss Denevue, you're more beautiful in person than I had imagined," said Orson as he sat down next to her. "You must be Orson," smiled Lauren. "Nice to finally meet you in person." She squirmed in her seat a bit. Orson Escott looked a bit older than she had expected. He was tall, slender, had dark brown hair that was starting to become speckled with gray hairs. He was wearing a black suit jacket with a blue button-down shirt. It looked as though he was trying his hardest to be casual, even though you could tell his lack of tie made him feel uncomfortable. It made sense, though. He was, after all, a billionaire. "Lauren, just so we start off on the same page, I'm a man who conducts business with people I can trust in every aspect. If you betray me, I walk, and I make sure that things are messy for everyone involved but me. Are we clear?" asked Escott. "Of course," said Lauren as she uncontrollably fidgeted in her chair, hoping no one was looking at them, although it felt like a million set of eyeballs were on her as they spoke. "Great," said Escott. "As we have discussed, a few weeks ago, a computer science student who works as an administrative assistant to your husband was working on a special project. This type of project is something your husband was not aware of, but could benefit us both a great deal if it ends up in the right hands. The project is worth a lot of money, but only if my team is the one to have it." Escott's eyes almost pierced Lauren as he stared her down. His hands were calm, collected, and he moved with very deliberate movements to add emphasis to key words. Escott was no stranger to a business deal, no stranger to being the smartest man in the room, and as far as Lauren could tell, he was very used to getting what he wanted. "That's where you come in, Lauren. You see, your husband has a program that keeps backups of all student projects on a shared drive. Unfortunately, we have been unable to connect to the drive and remove any residual code, or perhaps even the full program off his backup drive." "Why can't you just contact him directly and ask him yourself?" said Lauren as she nervously took a sip of tea. "Because, Lauren, that wouldn't be in my best interest, now would it? Let's say, hypothetically, that I had access to a program that could get me more control and more power than you could ever imagine, and I had more influencing power over anyone I wanted, but standing in the way was a university know-it-all that had access to it, and potentially the ability to hack my own program and shut it down. Do you honestly think I want him to know what I'm up to or even know who I am? Of course not. It would be very naive of you to think so." "So why tell me? How do you know that I won't run home and tell him?" asked Lauren. Her hands were now shaking a bit as she tried to squeeze them together tightly in her lap. "Simple," smiled Escott. "Because if you do as you are told, I will award you $500,000 that is completely untraceable, and your husband will think you just won the lottery or whatever else you want to tell him. All it takes is you inserting this thumb drive into his home computer, and we do the rest." "And what if I don't agree to this? Not saying that I won't, but," stammered Lauren. "Well, that, Lauren, is even simpler. First off, I'll send my men to do it for you at gunpoint. Afterwards, I'll have them kill you. I'll leave you there for poor Jake to find you when he arrives home. And that's when things get worse." How can they get worse?" thought Lauren. "Well, the program we put on Jake's computer won't just delete the remnants of the program like yours will. Instead, it will activate it on his computer. My people will make everything look like it was Jake behind creating and using the program. The feds will be all over him in no time. We'll have gotten what we wanted, Jake will be our scapegoat. He'll be put away without parole for murder and terrorism. Nifty plan, isn't it? Scoffed Escott as he stared down a mortified Lauren Denevue. Now, I would like to think this plan has a great outcome for us all. But you could say no. Now look over your right shoulder. See those two men drinking coffee and reading the paper? Well, one of them has a gun, the other has the program. And neither of them have any qualms about breaking and entering when you least expect it, if you know what I mean. I guess I don't have much choice. I'm in, said Lauren sheepishly as she picked up the thumb drive that Escott had placed on the table. How do I know that I've done it correctly? She asked, again scared of the answer. It's simple. Just plug it in, execute the only file, and you'll be fine. My men will bring you a letter with a key to a safe deposit box. Inside that box will be information on how to claim your money. If you give me any reason not to trust you, such as go to the police, tell your husband, or anybody else, Plan B immediately goes into action. Neither you nor I want that to happen. Have I made myself clear? That's it. I just plug in the jump drive. I get the info and the money. No one gets hurt, said Lauren, almost relieved at the simplicity of the plan. I promise you, you and Jake will be fine. However, I wouldn't suggest that you and Jake take a little vacation this weekend in New York City. You wouldn't want to be there if things were to be shaken up a bit, if you follow me. I thought you said no one would get hurt, said Lauren. No. I said that you and Jake wouldn't get hurt. New York might be a whole different story unless your elected officials see things my way, laughed Orson Escott as he got up and turned to walk away. Lauren was still reeling from it all and trying to understand how a housewife from Kansas got involved in a terrorist plot. Was Escott even his real name? Maybe it was time to get Jake involved. She hated hiding it from him. For now, just stick with the plan and their lives would carry on. Yes, stick with the plan, she thought. By the way, Ms. Denevue, said Escott as he turned around, if you're having second thoughts, I'd do it soon. You have 12 hours to do as I ask, or else you stop nothing and Plan B goes into effect. Thank you for your cooperation. And with that, Escott was gone, and once again, Lauren Denevue was alone in the cafe again, this time staring at a flash drive that was a ticking time bomb. As she drove home, her heart was racing. She kept looking in the rearview mirror and trying to decipher if she had been followed by Escott's men. She couldn't see them, but she knew they were there. As she walked in the front door and set the keys down the counter, she started to get lightheaded. Could she actually go through with this, she thought? She had to, or everything else that she and Jake had would be over in a flash. She walked into Jake's office, clumsily inserted the jump drive. The computer came to life and opened the contents of the flash drive. Lauren took a deep breath and used the mouse to click the file on the jump drive. Then she began to panic. What am I doing? She cried as she watched the computer starting to load the program. She suddenly felt sick to her stomach. She vomited in the nearby garbage can and cried again, asking herself what she had done. Meanwhile, the computer screen had finished loading the program. A black command prompt was now up and on the screen, with simple white text that said, "Now loading, Project Miranda." The following has been a new piece of original fiction produced for www.BoxOfficeBoredom.com. Join us next week for the continuation of our story, text version available on Saturday, audio version available on Sundays at www.BoxOfficeBoredom.com. This audio is a production of the Boredom Broadcast Network and is protected by a 2015 copyright and by BoxOfficeBoredom.com, all rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or any means, including copying, recording, or other electronic or mechanical methods without the prior written permission of the publisher. For permission requests, please visit www.BoxOfficeBoredom.com and contact us through the Contact Us section on the website.